Do you understand the gravity of your silence? You support Trump's fake claims, and not because you believe them, but because they keep your base riled up, and a riled up base keeps your platform alive. It's all profit and performance, not principle. Yesterday, when former U.S. President Donald Trump made statements about so-called white genocide happening in South Africa and South African president challenges Trump on claims of white genocide, Elon Musk is also present in the room during this meeting. It seems like normal now, but for Representative Jasmine Crockett, it was anything but normal. She saw through the silence, and what followed was nothing short of explosive. Jasmine Crockett didn't hold back, she openly exposed Elon Musk. What followed left America stunned, as her voice carried through every screen and speaker, echoing one searing accusation: "You should be ashamed." Crockett's speech felt less like a confrontation and more like a moral trial, one that Musk hadn't prepared for. She dismantled the myth of white genocide, a false narrative propagated in alt-right circles and increasingly echoed by far-right politicians. It's a conspiracy theory that claims white populations are being systematically replaced through immigration, diversity policies, and cultural change, a claim that has been debunked by scholars, analysts, and common sense alike. Yet, as Crockett pointed out, the theory hasn't just survived, it has thrived in digital spaces, especially on platforms like X, formerly known as Twitter, which Musk owns. And that, she said, is not a coincidence. It is strategy. It is silence that amplifies. And in her sharpest rebuke, she declared that Musk's refusal to confront this myth head-on was not a sign of balance or neutrality, but rather an endorsement through inaction, a cold, calculated choice made with full awareness of the consequences. Musk, often the fastest to respond to criticism with a meme or sarcasm, looked visibly cornered. Crockett's fire was backed by facts, and her tone made clear that she would not be brushed aside. She referenced the increasing presence of hate speech on X since Musk's takeover, including a surge in racially inflammatory content. Numerous watchdog organizations have tracked how extremist rhetoric has grown more visible on the platform, and Crockett connected the dots between platform algorithms and the spread of disinformation. "You own the faucet, Mr. Musk," she said, "and instead of shutting it off, you're letting it pour because hate keeps people logged in longer. Fear fuels engagement, and engagement lines your pockets." It was a devastating accusation, and one that brought audible gasps from some in the audience. Musk had built his brand on disrupting industries, cars, rockets, energy, but Crockett now made the case that his most powerful disruption was of truth itself. The congresswoman from Texas did not stop at online behavior. She dug into Musk's political affiliations, making the explosive claim that his silence served a strategic alliance with Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. She noted Musk's past criticisms of the Democratic Party, his reactivation of previously banned accounts that had spread hate speech, and his interactions with far-right influencers. "You want to talk about free markets, but what you're selling is influence, to the highest bidder, or to the loudest bigot," she charged. The room fell into a heavy silence, not because people disagreed, but because they knew how few would dare to say these things to Musk's face. Yet Crockett didn't flinch. She added, "You support Trump's fake claims, and not because you believe them, but because they keep your base riled up, and a riled up base keeps your platform alive. It's all profit and performance, not principle." It was a masterclass in calling out privilege and manipulation. Crockett illustrated how Musk's version of free speech seemed to bend sharply toward empowering those with the loudest, most dangerous rhetoric, while muting or deplatforming those calling for justice or equity. She cited examples of civil rights activists having their content throttled or banned while white nationalist accounts regained prominence. She explained how, under Musk's leadership, X had reversed course on previous moderation efforts, making the platform feel hostile to marginalized communities. She brought up the Buffalo shooting, where the gunman had cited this white replacement theory as a motive, a tragedy that, according to Crockett, Musk had never publicly condemned. "Do you understand the gravity of your silence?" she asked, her voice rising. "Do you realize what it means to remain quiet while lies that lead to murder are allowed to spread in your name, on your site, for your gain?" Musk's attempt to respond fell flat. He mumbled a few remarks about algorithmic freedom and user responsibility, echoing his usual lines about not policing content beyond legality. But Crockett was already 2 steps ahead. "Legality is your escape hatch," she said, "but legality is not morality. Just because something isn't illegal doesn't mean it's right. And what you're doing, or not doing, is not right. It is reckless. It is cowardly. It is dangerous." In a nation where racial tensions remain raw and disinformation moves faster than truth, her words cut deep. She made clear that the myth of white genocide, while absurd to many, had real-world implications. It emboldened hate, validated supremacists, and inspired violence. And in her sharpest rebuke, she told Musk, "You're not a victim of cancel culture, you're an architect of chaos." The confrontation took on added weight because it wasn't just theoretical. Crockett invoked real people, real victims, real pain. She brought up Charlottesville, the Tree of Life synagogue shooting, the El Paso massacre. In each case, the perpetrators had been influenced by racist, xenophobic ideologies that lived and thrived online. And she drew a direct line from those ideologies to platforms like X and to the leaders who run them. When you own the means of communication, when your platform is the new public square, you don't get to hide behind libertarian platitudes. You have a responsibility to stop lies that kill, she said, and for a moment, Musk looked less like a tech innovator and more like a man caught in the machinery of his own making. The crowd was transfixed. No one had ever seen Elon Musk confronted so directly, so publicly, and so morally. Even his critics often tiptoed, wary of his reach and retaliation. But Crockett didn't just criticize him, she exposed a pattern of behavior, a philosophy built on disruption at the cost of human decency. She made clear that the stakes weren't just about tweets or trends, but about democracy, truth, and the soul of the nation. "You call yourself a visionary," she said, "then have the vision to see what you're enabling. Have the courage to stop it." Her voice, filled with both fury and heartbreak, reminded everyone that leadership is not about innovation alone, but about values. And when values are traded for engagement metrics, when truth is twisted for influence, we are no longer progressing, we are regressing, violently and deliberately. By the time Crockett finished, the entire summit felt different. Musk did not respond further. His silence, once his weapon, now became a symbol of everything she had accused him of. Outside the venue, reporters and commentators scrambled to capture the moment. Social media lit up with clips of Crockett's speech. Support poured in from civil rights groups, tech ethicists, and average Americans who had felt powerless against the tide of misinformation online. Hashtags trended, editorials were written, a conversation long buried under tech euphemisms and political cowardice had been unearthed, and at its center stood a congresswoman who dared to speak truth not just to power, but through power, reminding the world that silence, too, is a choice, and often the loudest one of all. In the days following the confrontation, political leaders weighed in. Some condemned Crockett's approach, calling it overly aggressive or unfair, but many more praised her for finally saying what needed to be said. Analysts noted that the confrontation marked a turning point in how public figures would be held accountable for the spread of extremism online. For too long, figures like Musk had operated with a veneer of neutrality, pretending their platforms were mere tools, not active participants in shaping culture and politics. Crockett's words shattered that illusion. She had shown the nation that silence is not a shield, it is a stance, and when that stance aligns with falsehoods that endanger lives, it must be challenged with full force. Perhaps most powerfully, Crockett didn't walk away from that podium seeking applause or viral fame. She walked away demanding accountability. She didn't just call out a billionaire, she called on every citizen to demand more from those who control the channels of modern life. In doing so, she reminded America that truth is not optional, and justice is not negotiable. And in an age of disinformation, sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply to speak clearly, courageously, and without fear. If you believe this moment matters, if you stand with truth and accountability, then show your support. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Help us keep the conversation going and ensure voices like Jasmine Crockett's are heard far and wide. We're not just observers of history, we're participants. Let's speak, let's act, and let's never let silence speak louder than justice.